What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing some maintenance on this Traxxas TRX-4. And as you can see here, this is a very easy telltale sign of shock oil loss by the fact that dirt has been clinging to the shocks and pieces where the shock oil has dripped on. So yeah, you're going to move the tires to make taking off the shocks easier, which is it's simple. So and then I didn't even know that this was there, but we have a lot of hairs in this tire hub, which is not good at all. So basically I'm going to be taking off the axle hub, if that's what it is, just so that I could remove the actual axle and take out these hairs easier. Otherwise, if I just tear this all right now, it won't get it all properly, and that's not good for the machine. And so you have to take out 3 screws, and then here you're able to, after some messing around, so I didn't really exactly know what I was doing, but I did end up getting it. But here, so I have to take off this bolt, which was slightly difficult, and I realized that I didn't do the proper method of taking it off. But once that was off, I could take out these hairs properly and ensure that there's going to be no friction where we don't want it. And basically, you don't want any improper materials anywhere on your Traxxas or whatever RC vehicle or whatnot. So basically, I'm gonna be cleaning the bearing with just mild, it's soap and water, and we're just doing this to get off any physical dirt. I don't recommend using any extremely hard solvents. But so now I have this properly cleaned, and as you can see here, it wasn't going in properly. And I'll show you. So right here, that pin, you need to make sure it sits in properly, otherwise it's not going to be working correct, and you will have a not proper vehicle. So yeah, make sure it spins good. Yes, it does, but I will be adding some lubrication shortly. And as you see, you got to put that pin in and then firmly press down that the bolt. And here I'm cleaning out the screw holes so that when I insert the Allen wrench, it's not going to be dirty and stripping the head of it. And as you can see, it's very dirty. So yeah, so now as you can see, it's not even properly springing out. Now here on the spring, there's a small cap type thing that you need to click out, and then you just remove the spring, and you use either a screwdriver or the Traxxas tool, the screw head thing, and then you uncap that. And I was very surprised to see inside. And here there is a rubber gasket on the top, but so there was no shock oil at all inside there, which was kind of funny. But then I cleaned this out with a Q-tip, or you could use a small cloth or whatever you have. And so now that I have all disassembled, I take off the next tire, and there has the same bunch of hairs. And as you can see, I used the knife this time to just pop out that the bolt, and then that makes removal of this easier. But either way, I'm still going to be taking off this hub because I want to make sure it's all clean on the inside and remove the dirt. Otherwise, if you have dirt inside there, it's going to be wearing down on the bearings, which isn't good. So whenever you're doing maintenance, you got to make sure you clean all the parts. All off. And boom, we have everything disassembled properly. Shock oil, which is 20 weight, which is what the guy recommended at the store. And so basically the entire process of this is the same for the big, small size of shocks. We're gonna extend that. Extend. We're gonna slowly drip. Oops. Okay. You want to put it all the way to the top, apparently, with a slight bit. Okay, so now, as you can see, it's pretty much all the way to the top. And now we're gonna push this upwards very slowly, so it's not just gonna be overflowing, because that's not gonna be fun to clean up right away. Sorry. To the top, we're gonna slowly bring it down. And they do this several times to be bringing all the air up. Yeah, so fairly, very simple. Then you're gonna probably need to add a little bit more, perhaps just another drop, because you want this to be all the way to the top. By the way, I'm pretty, I don't know, it seems like there's a bubble. We're all the way to the top, slowly. Like, you want no air bubbles in there at all. And so I believe there's 30 weight originally, I think, but this is what the dude gave me. So yeah, now we have to leave this sitting upright for 10 to 15 minutes, although I'm pretty sure you could use discretion in 5 minutes at that, just so you got make sure there's no air bubbles in there. The tire makes for an all right stand when you got nothing else. Okay, redo. You go your thing here, which is cleaned out with a Q-tip, like a little dab of that. Slowly add your drops to the top. Now you're gonna slowly push this upwards, and you're most likely gonna spill a little bit of this out. I recommend just going extra slow to avoid that. So yeah, it's fairly simple. Rather than having to buy new shocks, I very much recommend just doing this. Which, by the way, it's very nice outside right now. So yeah, then we're gonna put this in our upside down tire, which, let me just demonstrate here. See, now, because that fell, I'm just gonna make sure that should work. Yeah, so fairly simple, like, and this is not even that lengthy of a process, although it does get longer if you're cleaning other pieces. The actual removal and addition of these fluids can easily be done under an hour, which, like, probably half an hour, honestly. Like, and rather than purchasing new shocks, $7 shock oil, which is, I feel like, reasonable adjacent, because most Traxxas products are slightly more expensive. Check it out. That's fairly good, I think. Probably be better to have some sort of proper method to hold these upright, which I'm just gonna leave that one there. Pardon the that. Yeah, so there you have it. Now I'll show the assembly once I get all these finished. Okay, so it's been a minute since my first one has been done. So basically we're just gonna do the steps in reverse order. So we insert this. So we insert this, first we squeeze that, we push this until it clips into place, then we have that properly done. Now we are going to be putting the cap back on, which you will most likely have oil coming out. And just to make sure that slightly potentially happens, I'm going to be make sure this is to the tip top, because I don't want any air in there, and no one wants air in there, not just me. Which, yes, now it is going to be, has a slight bubble leaking out, which is all right because you could just clean that up, which is, that means that's how you can guarantee it's going to be a great seal. See, now you get a clean rag, and there you have it now. But before, you're gonna be using you could use like a screwdriver or whatnot. You simply insert that and give it a twist to tighten. I don't think you want to really over tighten this terribly much, but now, before, this wouldn't really expand. Now it's so okay, you have a properly functioning shock. So by the way, I think overfilling it isn't probably the strategy either. You have to make sure it has proper springage. So yeah, basically make sure you wipe everything up. And like I said, by the way, I had to redo this, not redo, but there was a slight bit too much, I think. So yeah, don't overfill. I'll redo the next one. So make sure this is decently tight, and there we have it. I think that's good, but just to be double sure, I am going to be putting a slight drop more. Okay, yeah, yes, it was not exactly enough. Now you have a good shock change, replacement, whatever you want to call it. And now to reinstall is fairly simple. You just put in back what you just did, and okay, technically you should probably finish putting on your other work. You don't want to over tighten these, because that's not fun when you strip the thread, and then when that happens, you'll never be able to properly tighten your screw, whatever you're doing, especially when it's all these plastic pieces. That'll definitely not be very fun to have improperly. Also, we're gonna be greasing our bearings with this Motul chain lubrication, but I feel like it should be very good for this, the bearings and all these components. Very little dab, very little, tiniest dab. And there we now have the steering, all that. We're not gonna have to worry about that. And so putting your shock. Sorry, you put your shock back on. So your long screw, you're going to make sure this is lined up into the appropriate spot, which is slightly difficult, which, by the way, taking that off was would have probably helped to keep it off, but I didn't realize it would be, so a slight bit of difficulty. But I mean, I could take that off, or I could just kind of, this is all very simple stuff to do. And if you're into this hobby, you obviously are well aware of the time consuming yet not, like, it's all very small mechanical stuff, so none of it is extremely difficult. It is correct, you put it on the outside of that slide area, which is cool. Like, so just felt a little odd, but you are going to be putting this on the outside of that. By the way, you should probably tighten this a little bit more than what I did. Blake says I wasn't really sure. Also, you got to be very careful with these tiny parts, because to go to the Traxxas store or whatnot and be like, I need this one screw because I stripped it, which I think potentially happened with this tool. I think it's rounded the edges a little bit, so it's not as firm of a insert, but I could just buy a new one rather sooner than later, so I'm not gonna ruin all these bolts, screws. Yeah, so there you have it. This is now gonna be properly, like I said, something doesn't feel right. But again, next side, I'll show you in 2 seconds what it's gonna look like properly finished. And here it got dark a little bit sooner than I expected, but now we have it all properly assembled. But let me tell you, this 20 weight doesn't seem to be adequate. I think you need like a 25 or 30, because the rear is all right, yet the front, because you have the added weight of this steering servo, slight bit of improper, has a little bit of a not as springy as it should be, but it's better than what it was. Now it at least has proper shock oil in it, so I'll potentially be buying 25. I'll probably buy 30 weight just to see that. But yeah, at least now I'll be able to have a lot of fun with this now and have some shocks. So keep it real.